I come full circle in this response and just want to encourage you with some substance that we are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
Donald Trump just gave a wild interview on Lou Dobbs' show, and we'll get to that. But first, that clip was of Kevin Roberts, the president of the Heritage Foundation, which is the right-wing think tank that crafted Project 2025. And Kevin Roberts is now saying the quiet part out loud. He admitted that they are in the process of a silent revolution, and he said that it will be bloodless if the left allows it to be. If that's not a threat, then I don't know what is. He's essentially saying that if we fight back at all, it will not be a bloodless revolution. He says that if we stick up for ourselves or the institutions that they're burning down, then it will not be a bloodless revolution. You could not get any more closer to that being a threat. And I cannot talk enough about Project 2025. I'll be talking about it all the way until Election Day, so leave a like on this video if you want to help boost the message. But essentially, this silent coup that they're planning involves Donald Trump on day one appointing tens of thousands of loyal and trained civil servants into positions of power within the government. He will strip independence away from all of these three-letter organizations that he spent the past few years attacking, like the FBI, the DOJ. All of the guardrails that exist in our government will be torn down because Donald Trump loyalists will be surrounding him and not able to check him. That is when the Second American Revolution, as they refer to it, begins. That is when Donald Trump can act on his most authoritarian urges, and there will be no one around him to tell him to stop. There will be no people like Mike Pence who will actually uphold the precedent of certifying the election results. Here's a clip of Donald Trump on Lou Dobbs' show talking about immigrants and saying that they're beautiful people, beautiful children, but then also wanting to throw them into deportation camps. This is also a part of Project 2025, this plan to deport 11 million immigrants. Watch this clip and we'll talk about it.
To change that, and that's always tough because as soon as you bring one person where you make a mistake and you bring a person who's a beautiful father with a beautiful wife and beautiful children, and they make a mistake and they end up on the front page of every newspaper, and they think that all the killers, all the people that have killed people are all wonderful. So, it's a very tricky problem, politically tricky, and a lot of traps all over the place. But
he's saying that deporting all of these people is a tricky problem because a lot of them seem like beautiful people with beautiful wives. Maybe the vast majority of immigrants are just decent people who are coming here for a better life, and there's no reason to deport them en masse. Donald Trump's plan is evil and inhumane for a few reasons, because first of all, how do you deport 11 million immigrants without any sort of violence? Secondly, how do you prevent yourself from accidentally deporting American citizens, people who are here legally? And thirdly, the economic implications of deporting 11 million people, losing 11 million workers would be catastrophic for our economy, but Donald Trump doesn't care. He just cares about using the authoritarian rhetoric that can also be found in Project 2025. Now, there's more to this clip of Kevin Roberts, the president of the Heritage Foundation, but I just want to point out that the Supreme Court ruling that happened just a few days back about presidential immunity also perfectly lays the groundwork for Project 2025 by embracing this extremist version of unitary executive theory, which says that the government has unilateral, complete control over the entire executive branch with no checks from the Supreme Court and no checks from Congress. And that is what Justice Roberts and some of the other conservative justices endorsed in that ruling just the other day. They are okay with Donald Trump taking power, not having any checks from any of the people around him, committing crime after crime, and then just labeling those crimes as official acts. It is absolutely disgusting. But let's break down a little bit more of this interview with the president of the Heritage Foundation.
And tell folks what the Heritage Foundation is doing to protect the rule of law and to protect individuals in this great country. Pleasure to have you on.
Well, Professor, my great friend, thanks for filling in and doing a great job. Three things. Number one, in spite of all this nonsense from the left, we are going to win. We're in the process of taking this country back. No one in the audience should be despairing. No one should be discouraged. We ought to be really encouraged by what happened yesterday. And in spite of all of the injustice, which, of course, friends and audience of this show, of our friend Steve know, we are going to prevail.
There we have it. Kevin Roberts said we should be incredibly encouraged by what happened yesterday, which of course he's referring to the Supreme Court immunity ruling that again helps lay the groundwork for Project 2025. That is why Kevin Roberts views it as such a win, because right now all of these institutions are working at the behest of Donald Trump. And when I say all of these institutions, I mean our right-wing Supreme Court and our right-wing Congress. But the host of the show also said something that struck me as a little bit wild. He said they're trying to protect the rule of law, which is honestly laughable. They're doing quite the opposite, to be honest. What they're trying to do is say that Donald Trump is above the law. Donald Trump was above the law when he pressured Mike Pence into choosing fake slates of electors, and he pressured election officials across the country like Brad Raffensperger into finding votes. Donald Trump has repeatedly broken the law. I won't even get into the classified documents case, the hush money case. There are so many different cases that show Donald Trump breaking the law. So this idea that Republicans want to uphold the rule of law is absolutely laughable. Hillary Clinton just made a tweet about Project 2025, and she said, Project 2025 is the MAGA movement's plan to consolidate power under a re-elected Trump and exert more control over everyday Americans' lives. Think I'm exaggerating? Read it for yourself. And first of all, we've been reading it on stream, so make sure you catch the live streams, but she posts a list that says, here's a taste of Trump's Project 2025. Take away reproductive freedom nationwide. Uses the presidency for revenge on Trump's political and personal enemies. Terminates the Constitution. Consolidates power in the Oval Office. Guts Democratic checks and balances on presidential power, gives handouts to the ultra-wealthy paid for by working families, and much, much more. Here's more from Kevin Roberts.
Number two, to the point of the clips, and of course your preview of the fact that I am an early American historian and love the Constitution, that Supreme Court ruling yesterday on immunity is vital. And it's vital for a lot of reasons, but I would go to Federalist number 70 if people in the audience are looking for something to read over Independence Day weekend, in addition to rereading the Declaration of Independence. Read Hamilton's number 70, because there, along with some other essays, he talks about the importance of a vigorous executive.
Here's an idea. If you actually love the Constitution as much as you claim to, maybe you shouldn't be championing the candidate who is called to terminate all of the rules and laws in the Constitution so that he could entrench his power as the President of the United States. He also talks about the Federalist Papers calling for a maximalist version of unitary executive theory. That is not true whatsoever. Since the inception of America, the presidency has been checked by Congress, checked by the Supreme Court. The checks and balances that exist in our government exist for a reason. Nowhere in the Constitution or in the Federalist Papers does it say that the president should have complete immunity. And there is an argument for the president having slight immunity from actions that are official actions, but this Supreme Court ruling is not that whatsoever. They want every single action that Donald Trump took to be considered an official act, when a lot of them are the exact opposite of an official act. They were meant for personal gain to, again, entrench his power as the president of the United States. But I can see arguments for immunity in certain cases. Like, say, for example, you're trying to bomb a terrorist overseas. Now, the average U.S. citizen can't just bomb people overseas. You would get arrested and jailed for that. But there are arguments for the president having the ability to do so to protect our national interests. But I just want to say one more time, that is not what the Supreme Court ruling said. They took an extremist version of presidential immunity and actually put that into the ruling. We'll talk about it more. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like, make sure you comment a blue heart, hit that subscribe button. Most importantly, have a great day.